Originally, I thought 3 weeks in Laos was going to be too much, but I quickly discovered that there was so much to do in the only landlocked country in Southeast Asia, often one that people miss completely. 3 weeks weren't even close to being enough, and there's still so much I didn't discover in this incredible hidden gem. In this video, I'll cover my itinerary, my route, how you can do a shorter or longer trip, where to go, when to go, what to do, the mistakes I made, how I would do things differently, and essentially share everything you need to plan your trip to this incredible country. Additionally, I documented my entire journey in a cinematic style to be able to bring you along and show you what this remarkable place is like in case you're not able to travel to Laos yourself. So first of all, I'll just cover some of the basics. Laos is a landlocked country in Southeast Asia with a population of around 7 million. And most people I met had actually come to Laos to do a visa run from Thailand, which is indirectly what my trip was for as well. So where did I go and when? I was coming from Chiang Mai in the north of Thailand, so I took a bus to stay in the bordering town of Chiang before crossing the next day over the Lao-Thai Friendship Bridge number 4 to catch the luxury slowboat from Huay, which is on the opposite side of the border to Chiang. From here, I took the 2-day slowboat down to Luang, Prabang with an overnight stay in Pakbeng. I then spent a few days in Luang, Prabang, including Christmas, and I visited some well-known sites such as Kuang Falls and Phuosi Hill. I then took the train from Luang, Prabang to Vang Vieng, where I spent over a week across New Year's. Here I went on a variety of different adventures, some of the most notable being visiting XAY Viewpoint, the Blue Lagoons, and going Tipsy tubing. I also ate the best mango sticky rice of my life here. Then I took the train down to the capital city of Vientiane, where I stayed for a few days before heading to Bangkok. As I mentioned earlier, I was here around New Year's, and I think it is a good time to do it. Personally, I would absolutely recommend doing my route in either direction, as most people I met were travelling a very similar way. I think you could do this route, including the 2 days on the Mekong, in a week if you were really in a rush. Honestly though, I would recommend 10 to 12 days to make it better paced, as I took around 21 days all up, but this was travelling at a very slow and relaxed pace. If you wanted, the one change I would probably make would be going to Nong Kea in the north, as it's absolutely gorgeous. One of my biggest tips for Laos has to be to get a lot of cash out at once. The Laotian kip is virtually a closed currency, meaning you can only buy and use it within Laos's borders. Most places in Vientiane will take card, but everywhere else is only cash. Whilst the ATM fee is a meager 20,000 kip, and the largest bank is a French one, these ATMs aren't particularly trustworthy. I almost had my card eaten by the ATM when I cancelled a transaction, and someone I met up with had their card held in by the ATM. Therefore, I would recommend taking out as much as you need or can in one go, as most have a maximum withdrawal limit of 2 or 2.5 million kip. Now, I have to say, Laos is a place with some of the loveliest people I have met. Your hotel should be able to help you book train tickets, tuk-tuks, tours and more, so I would recommend waiting until you're there to book these rather than doing it online. It's much cheaper and actually a lot easier. Their train system is reasonably new and has been set up by China, but it's worthwhile noting that the stations are well out of the towns they go to, so make sure you have cash to get a ride into town. Now, in order to really see the best of Laos, I think it's best to hire a moped. This is how I got to places that you need to go to, like Kuang Falls, XAY Viewpoint, and Blue Lagoon number 4. You can book these on tours or take tuk-tuks, but I think it is best to hire a moped. However, there are still places in the towns that you need to visit, like the many street food stalls in Vang Vieng, get a sandwich and a lottie pancake for barely a few dollars and thank me later, and the night market in Luang Prabang, because the food slaps. I felt very safe travelling Laos even as a solo female, and the prices for everything were some of the best I have found in Asia. So far, I have to say it has probably been my favourite country, even ahead of Thailand, and if you have any other questions about travelling Laos, feel free to leave a comment below and I'll answer it. Otherwise, I think it's better to show than tell. So I hope you enjoy this film of my time in Laos. If you're new here, you may not know that for the past month I've been in Chiang Mai training Muay Thai, so my first job was actually to get a bus to go to the border town of Chiang. Surprisingly, the 8 hours weren't too bad, and I even managed to arrive there just in time for a local food festival. I had something with chili that was really nice, but did kind of end up burning my mouth off. The next morning, I was picked up with some others and taken across the border. If I'm honest, the crossing was a lot less scary than I envisioned and had heard, but who knows, maybe it's just the luck of the draw. I was pretty tired when I got on board, so I just chilled out reading my book for a bit. I guess the main thing you're wondering is, why didn't I just get the regular slow boat? And is it worth it spending the extra money to go on the VIP option? If I'm honest, other than the border crossing, I'd also heard some not so great things about the slow boat from people. And even though I'm a big believer in budget travel, I am also a big fan of spending money when it's going to make you feel safer and aids in easing your mental health and your stress levels. Money solves everything, you know, particularly when traveling. Do I think forking out the extra cash for this was worth it? Yes, absolutely, because even if I hadn't had a good time on the boat, it still would have saved me so much stress, and I don't think I can put a price on that. However, the cruise itself was wonderful. It was so nice to have space to lie down, enjoy a book, write in my journal, and just watch the view. The scenery was gorgeous and we had a delicious lunch, which I honestly don't even know what it was, but it was amazing. After we'd eaten, we stopped at a small local village and went to their school. It was really interesting to watch the kids play, see how they amuse themselves, the things they enjoy and how they interact, and just what their schooling environment is like. Even though based on appearances you wouldn't think so, I feel like in some ways they're better off than kids in the West. I'll let you think about why, or feel free to comment below. You might think of something I haven't. The kids were gorgeous and seemed quite happy to mostly ignore us, as I figure the slow boats may stop there semi-regularly, but a few of them were quite friendly and offered a few smiles our way. We spent a while there before hopping back on the boat to cruise into Pakbeng, the halfway point where we would be staying for the night. The sun was just setting as we arrived and it was absolutely gorgeous.
So right now it's about 5 PM, we're almost in Pakbeng where we're staying tonight. I forgot how much I love being on the river. This river's really reminding me of like the Bulla and the Clarence River back home in New Zealand in the South Island. So that's kind of nice, but looking forward to another hopefully pretty chill day tomorrow. Yeah.
Pakbeng is basically a place where there's one main street with all the food places, then there's some hotels nearby. After I checked in, I got some Indian for dinner that was actually delicious before heading off for a good night's sleep, as we had to be up the next morning for departure at 8 AM. The sun was just coming up when we boarded the boat and it was absolutely beautiful. I sat on the front and just enjoyed the tranquility.
Last night we stayed in Pakbeng overnight. The accommodation's pretty simple but good enough, and there's a bunch of places you can get food on the main street as well, because obviously the boats are in crew all the time, so they're kind of catering to be a bit of a tourist town. Even though they are in the middle of nowhere, it's lovely. But this morning it's been absolutely gorgeous. It was a beautiful morning.
Compared to its neighbours, the landlocked Laos is almost untouched in places, and I loved returning to somewhere of such tranquility after being in crazy busy places like Hanoi and Saigon, and even Chiang Mai during the Loy Kra Phong festival. It was revitalising in a way I never would have expected. We then stopped at another local village. This one was larger and we got to wander around. I always wonder how people live in these places, what life is like for them, what opportunities they have, and all that sort of thing. Growing up in the West, you don't realise what privileges things like passports and citizenship that seem so simple and straightforward actually offer you. We then headed through to the Pak Ou Caves. Honestly, I have been to some better ones elsewhere, but it was interesting to explore and I really liked the silhouette of the mountains in the background. Back to the boat, and then we are almost in Luang Prabang, and it is time to finish our time on the Mekong, which is kind of sad. It's been really lovely. I also had a nap this afternoon, which probably means I'm a bit tired, but time to go, I guess. We spent a while checking out the two different caves, but once we'd left there, it wasn't far to Luang Prabang.
From those who steal till I find my way. How will I call?
We arrived at sunset, and after checking into my hostel, going back to the budget travelling option, I grabbed some street food that I had no clue what it was, and then I found some delicious gelato that was actual ice cream, which I have not had since I left home, and then I checked out the night market briefly. Overall, I had a blast on the slow boat, or the luxury edition of it at any rate, and would definitely recommend treating yourself to it even if you are on a budget. However, the reviews on the slow boat seemed to be mixed. Some people said it was horrible and others said it was amazing, so it may just be a luck of the draw, and you're more than welcome to place your bets on the cheaper option as well. I arrived in Luang Prabang by taking the slow boat down the Mekong River from Huay, and I had a great time on the VIP cruise. Whenever I arrive in a new place, I always just want to wander around and see what's there first. As you always do in Asia, I found a temple on my way to get some lunch at Joma Cafe. Joma is a chain that's found all throughout Laos and does a fantastic Western style bagel, which definitely fulfilled my cravings. I then visited what is arguably Luang Prabang's most famous temple, Wat Xiang Thong. Even though there were a lot of people around, this complex was incredible. I loved the mosaics and all the little different temples.
Overall, this is a pretty cool temple, and it's nice because in Vietnam and Cambodia and even Thailand, I felt like the temples were a bit more similar, whereas this is the first time I've seen one that has like the style feels very different to the other countries, which is really cool. More mosaics, more synchronicity somehow. I'm not sure how like the culture differs here in terms of religion and the way they do things like that, but it's quite interesting, it's different, it's nice. I'm quite surprised. Paid 20,000 kip to get in, which is fine, it's like $1 so.
To celebrate Christmas in style, I headed up Phuosi Hill for sunset. This is the to-do thing in Luang Prabang. You have incredible views of the whole city and can watch the sun descend over the hills. Unfortunately, because it was Christmas, everyone else seemed to have the same idea to go up, and unfortunately it was a bit more crowded than I would have liked, but that didn't stop me from admiring the incredible view. Once the sun had gone down, most people disappeared and I was left up there almost by myself. It was a beautiful moment of solitude and a wonderful way to end Christmas. Now, something you may not know about Luang Prabang is that they actually have a decent foodie scene. I went what I guess you would have to call cafe hopping, first stopping at Two Little Birds, a place that does delicious smoothie bowls. I had my first one in over 2 months and it was almost life-changing. I then headed to Saffron Coffee, another chain, to get a delicious carrot cake and a coffee. Unfortunately, I have found that the coffee in Laos isn't the best and I'm really looking forward to going back to Thailand for a good coffee, to be honest.
Just walking down a random alley. That's lovely. You get off the main street, it's so quiet. And you explore new places. It's fun.
I then stopped at the Traditional Arts and Ethnology Centre. I'd learnt a bit about some of the ethnic tribes in Vietnam and I was really curious to see if it would overlap with Laos at all, and it did quite a lot. I always find it interesting to see how the modern world has affected ethnic and indigenous populations, so I do think that this is worthwhile checking out, particularly for its 30,000 kip entrance fee. I picked up a strawberry milk in the afternoon to refresh myself, which was absolutely delicious, and then I had a pretty lazy rest of day. The next morning, I went back to Two Little Birds and got some more delicious food before heading to the Living Land Farm. This is a pretty highly rated thing to do in Luang Prabang, and even though it does seem a little bit on the expensive side, I do think it's well worth the money. You learn about all 13 steps of producing rice. It was incredible to learn about the process, and I was really surprised at how much work there is involved for a product that seems so simple and is also incredibly cheap. It's definitely given me a new appreciation for rice, a carb that honestly didn't used to be my favourite at all. But since being in Asia, I have been converted and am now a big rice fan, particularly if it's sticky rice.
absolute level of the water like this, covering the root of the rice is enough. From you, pull. Wrap it around. Yes. Pull. Yes.
It was lots of fun the whole way through, and we even got to try some sugarcane juice and sticky rice, as well as a few other snacks. In the evening, I went to the night market where I got a few different bits and pieces. Everything was delicious. Particularly this barbecue sausage I got. I actually think it's probably the best thing I've eaten in Laos. Most of the tours arrive at around 11 AM, but in order to be there when there's not too many people around, it's best to hire a moped or take a private tuk-tuk to get there at around 8:30 AM in the morning. Once you've taken the electric car up, it's only around a 10-minute walk up to the falls. The falls are so incredible that they don't even look real. The early morning wake up and the cold temperatures were well worth arriving there when almost no one else was around. You can actually walk up to the top of the falls, which only takes around 10 minutes. There's a series of pools you're able to swim in at the top. The light was absolutely magnificent and everything just felt straight out of a fairy tale.
So as you might be able to tell from the background noise, we're now at the top of the falls. There's not too much of a view here or too much to see, but the light is stunning right now. So it is absolutely gorgeous. So worthwhile coming earlier in the morning as well.
Even though you can swim at the top, I decided I wanted to head back down to one of the lower pools. Even at around 9:30, there were definitely more people, so the earlier you get there the better. Please don't be fooled, the water is absolutely freezing cold, but it was crystal clear and absolutely incredible to swim in. I for one had a lot of fun. The day slipped away pretty quickly, and before I knew it, it was time to grab some lunch. We drove about halfway back from the falls towards Luang Prabang and found an incredible cafe called Lagoon Cafe. It overlooked this beautiful rice terrace, and it had one of the best views and seating areas I have ever seen, and all I could think about was how crowded it would be if this was Bali. However, there was no one else there. We were the only customers, and the food was delicious. So we've just finished visiting the falls and we drove about halfway back to Luang Prabang before stopping at a cafe called Lagoon Cafe or something similar with this stunning view. We have the place all to ourselves right now. We even have friends, cats, dogs. It's wonderful. It's absolutely beautiful. But just gonna have a snack and then head back into Luang Prabang. Good day. Falls were great. Good day. Sweet. So I've got pad thai because basic, and this looks delicious. Let's try this. That is really good. Right there in Thailand. That is very, very impressive. This was an absolutely beautiful day, and I loved all of my time in Luang Prabang, so I hope you'll subscribe to see the rest of my adventures in Laos. The next day, I took the train from Luang Prabang through to Vang Vieng. You have to take a tuk-tuk around 30 minutes out of town to get to the train station. However, the whole process ended up being a lot simpler than I thought, particularly because my hostel helped me book my tuk-tuk and the train.
So my pocket knife and my insect repellent got confiscated, so they're quite strict. But we're just about to get on the train, and 50 minutes later should be in the outskirts of Vang Vieng.
Around an hour later, I had arrived in Vang Vieng, where I took about a 5-minute tuk-tuk ride to get to the centre. So I've just arrived at the hostel. I'm pretty tired, so I might see if I can have a nap. And then probably do something this evening, like go to the night market or something similar. The train was very nice though. The tuk-tuk to get places was really convenient, so it was a pretty good travel experience. I did get my pocket knife taken, which I'm not super happy about, and my insect repellent because it's a flammable gas, but that is fine. I've had that pocket knife for 4 years, and probably, you know, I'm practicing non-attachment or spiritual enlightenment or whatever they call it, so yeah, a bit sad to see it go, but I mean, what can you do? You can't bribe them with money because that would be bad. Bad. In the evening, I wandered around a bit, got some dinner, and met up with a friend. If there is only one thing you do in your entire time in Vang Vieng, it has to be going to one of the viewpoints at sunrise. Me and my friend woke up at 6 AM to head to XAY Viewpoint, and it is still one of my favourite things I've done in my entire time in Asia. All the hot air balloons were ascending into the sky, but the fog was still nestled down in the shaded valleys. This particular viewpoint is famous for its motorbikes, and there's 2 of them up there, one facing north and the other facing south.
Don't fall though, because that's not good for your health.
Wait, no, actually I'm not on that game.
Yeah.
Just like here's good, I reckon.
Yeah. Yeah, that was what I was going for, just because it's easiest.
Gangster.
I think I was filming. Honestly, my main question of the day is how they got up there. We were trying to work out if they would have dropped them in using a hot air balloon or if someone carried them up, but at any rate, it does make for some cool shots.
Alright, sleigh.
Did you just say snow?
Yeah. That's what the fucking, when I've done like photo shoots before, they always say, alright, sleigh now.
Oh my goodness.
Time to sleigh.
Time to slay.
Yeah. Have you ever wanted to do base jumping?
What's that?
Like where you jump off stuff like this with a parachute and just plummet?
Yeah. Although I would definitely shit myself. I'm scared of heights.
Metaphorically or literally?
Maybe both.
Nice.
Yes, work it. Work that flag. Go.
Oh my god. I'm not gonna be able to take you seriously.
Sorry.
It does take around half an hour to get up and down, and it's more of a climb than it is a walk or a hike, but it makes it a good bit of fun. I had been told if you went up there at sunrise that there wouldn't be that many people around, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. Maybe we just picked the wrong day, but the view was still worth it regardless of how many people there were.
Fucking slippery nipples down it.
We got back and ate some mango sticky rice, aka my favourite thing ever, before heading tipsy tubing. For me, this was actually sober tubing, as I don't really drink. I think I had one sip of alcohol.
It's very bright. Not a bad way to spend the weekend. Day. I don't even know what day of the week it is actually. That's bad. Oh well.
I'm trying to find something I can jump off.
But essentially how it works is you hop in some tubes, you get driven to a random location, you don't know where you finish, and you just stop at a couple of bars along the way, get drunk or take your own alcohol. It's a bit of a disorganised shambles, but it's one of the must-do things in Vang Vieng, and if I'm honest, it was still a good bit of fun. People who had been to Pai in Thailand said that the tipsy tubing there was much better. However, I still think the one in Vang Vieng is worth doing, as the views from the river are so incredible, even though it can get quite shallow.
Having a blast on whatever day of the week it is. Absolutely beautiful. Sun's out, buns out, whatever it is you say. I'm just having a goddamn great day. My hair looks like a fucking mess, oh my god.
Fantastic. So relaxing till I probably hit my bum on a rock. Ugh.
Unfortunately, we only started around 1 PM and we actually didn't know where the end point was, so we were kind of just waiting until someone told us something. But as the sun set, it actually got really cold and I was freezing.
The sun has gone down and it's actually just like freezing cold right now. So like, I don't know if you can go earlier in the day. It didn't seem like they'd let us. It was just like a scheduled thing, but it's pretty chilly now. So like, I don't know if thermos, as crazy as it sounds, would be like fantastic. But yeah, I'm very ready to hop out soon, but I have no idea where like the takeout point is. Also like no idea how to get back to the hostel from where the takeout point is, because I don't know where the takeout point is, but I mean, it all just falls into place, doesn't it? That's kind of the gist of things, but I'm hoping we're nearing the end because it is very cold, so gonna go get some food. I'm hungry.
Luckily, we made it out alive and I woke up the next morning to grab some delicious food to fuel me up. We were heading through to Jang Cave, but found an abandoned building on the way. I've noticed that there's a lot of abandoned buildings around and some of these can be quite cool to explore, so always keep an eye out when you're walking to see if there's anything interesting around. Unfortunately, the famous orange bridge over the river that leads to Tam Chang Cave has actually been replaced, so we ended up missing out on that by about a month, which is a little bit disappointing. But the cave itself was absolutely fantastic and you had a great view back over towards the city.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
It was really well lit, however we did end up heading down to one area that wasn't, and it gave both me and Hiromi the heebie-jeebies, and we actually ran out of the cave quite quickly afterwards. There weren't too many people there and the cave was absolutely incredible. I loved the stalagmites and there were lots of different chambers to explore. Afterwards we went for a swim in the river nearby, before grabbing some lunch. I then had a lazy afternoon. There are a lot of different blue lagoons in Vang Vieng, all of which have their own unique charm, but I had been told that number 4 was the best, and unfortunately it set me up with unrealistic expectations for every other one. This lagoon was absolutely incredible, with a zipline, a swing, a jumping platform, and not too many people around at all. It does make sense as it's the furthest out of town and the only one to the north. It takes around 40 to 50 minutes to drive there, and you do have to go along a very long, sketchy outback road that you really have to commit to. We actually thought we were going the wrong way, but the Google Maps location is actually accurate.
Nice splash!
got to Blue Lagoon 4 around midday, and I had heard so many people say that like this was the quietest lagoon, it's the best lagoon by a nautical mile, and I kind of get where they're coming from. There are a few people around, but like this one's about half an hour north out of town. There are ziplines, swings, platforms to jump off, and just the view is incredible. It's so quiet. It is down a bit of like a sketchy road that you really have to commit to, and just it is where it says it is on Google Maps. You can trust the location, but you really have to commit to the drive out here because it doesn't seem like there's anything out here, and then you suddenly arrive at a lagoon. But it's New Year's Day, so it's a wonderful start to the year. As always, the weather's gorgeous. I'm just having a great time doing flips, doing all our business, and yeah, beautiful.
I landed a few good flips and some not so good, then just relaxed and enjoyed the sun. We then went to the nearby water cave, and unfortunately there was no one else there, so I actually had to convince Hiromi to go in, as it was pretty scary going in there as the only people. You pull yourself along the ropes and it is quite freaky, but it's also really cool.
I never like this.
I like it, I think it's fucking
Garbage. Oh, I lost the rope already.
big wuss.
Yeah.
Fucking anytime it gets dark, you go, oh my god, it's so fucking scary. What? You need to walk.
At least one of us had a lot of fun. I would definitely recommend doing it, especially if it's out of your comfort zone. There's also a series of zip lines you can do there, but it did look pretty sketchy, so we ended up just walking around some of the bridges instead, and even this did not feel very safe.
Health and safety in Asia do not mix at all. Not even slightly. Okay, moving again. Moving. On the sketchy ass bridge.
We then drove back and arrived just in time to see the hot air balloons going up at sunset. The next morning I headed to Blue Lagoon number 2, which I really didn't enjoy as much as Lagoon number 4. However, the view was still incredible and the pools were quite nice to swim in. It was definitely a lot more built out and catered to tourists, as it's the second most popular lagoon after Lagoon 1. I purposely didn't visit Lagoon number 1 as it's the one that all the tourists and tours go to, and I'd heard that it just ends up really crowded and a bit dirty, so I decided not to go there.
I'm at Blue Lagoon number 2 right now, which is a bit closer to town. It's like half an hour out, but it's a lot more developed than number 4, and I'm not really sure I like it so much, just because like there's a couple of almost different pools and like it's very well established type of thing. It's still gorgeous, but like the other one felt more kind of natural, whereas this one feels like, yeah, it's been very much touristed. So it's still nice, but I reckon I definitely preferred number 4.
Just over the river, 5 minutes out of the city centre of Vang Vieng, there are some fields where you can watch the sunset, and I have to say it's probably the best place to do it. Even though the sunset's incredible from everywhere, this is definitely one of the best places to do it if you don't want to go all the way out to one of the viewpoints. lazy day today. Just gonna go get food, then probably do some editing because I'm very tired. It's the 3rd and gonna have a chill. The next day I was out looking for some good food. I first stopped at Replica Cafe, which was a bit more expensive, but I actually had the best coffee I've had in Laos, which was an Oreo frappe, but it had coffee so it counts.
There's only a couple of bridges, well mainly really one that you can go across the river on for bikes, and this is one of them, and it's sketchy as hell. Like, I was riding across this yesterday. I can see the gaps everywhere. That's just a health hazard. But it is very beautiful.
But if you thought that was bad, wait for the second bridge you have to cross because there's 2 of them and this one's even scarier. I have ridden across here on a bike, on the back and with someone on the back, and it's terrifying. It's not fun. I'm like, what if you just hit it the wrong way? But nah, I've been all good. I had some lunch at Valla Cafe, which honestly wasn't the best, but the tom yum I had for dinner was absolutely delicious. This place called Cook Savang is one that I visited nearly every day in Vang Vieng, and I really like the ladies that work there. They do the best mango sticky rice. But if you're not wanting to go to a restaurant, I absolutely recommend going to the stalls that are around the centre. They are cheap and absolutely delicious. I got a savoury pancake and it was amazing.
So good.
I was then back with the love of my life, mango sticky rice. Honestly, the rest of this video is going to be me talking about food, so I got a coffee at Valla, which was disappointing. They don't seem to do very good coffee in Laos, but oh well. You can get smoothies most places for 20,000 kip, and usually they're pretty damn good because the fruit is always super fresh. If there's one thing you absolutely have to eat in Vang Vieng, it is a sandwich. There are so many different kinds, but all of them are absolutely delicious. My favourite spot to eat and watch the sunset was actually at Riverview Hotel. I don't actually know if I was allowed to sit there or not, but no one ever said anything to me, so I just kept going back. I tried some coconut pancakes at the night market, as well as an ice cream, but I really wasn't that convinced on the ice cream. I don't know what this is. I've decided it's quite good. It's not ice cream, but it is quite good. I also got durian, which I don't really know if I like or not, with green tea. It's gonna be good. There is one problem with Vang Vieng, which is that during the day it gets so hot from like maybe midday to about 4 PM that you can't really do anything. So like, I'm just going to have a burger that I picked up from one of the stalls again. It's too hot to do anything, so all you do is get food and then you like go back and hide in the shade. If you're not feeling like a sandwich, you can opt for a burger instead. Personally though, I think the sandwiches are better. Something else worth trying is pad lao, which is just a variation on pad thai. I also had pad thai while I was in Vang Vieng though, and either option is pretty solid. Honestly though, the best thing I ate in Vang Vieng was actually a sweet pancake with Nutella and peanut butter. It may just have been because I was really craving those two things, but it was the last thing I ate before I headed through to Vientiane, which I'll be exploring in next week's video. The lady who makes these cannot disappoint, does not disappoint. This is fantastic. I'm serious, no cap. This is like the best thing that I have eaten in Laos. Like, this lady has gone off. This is like So it's a Lottie pancake, and I got it with banana, which is like the usual, and then Nutella, milk, and peanut butter as well. So it's really on a peanut butter kick, but it's the most expensive one, but worth every penny. Every penny. Right now I am in Vientiane, and a lot of people said the city was not worth visiting, not that good, compared to like Luang, Prabang and Vang Vieng. However, on first impressions, it still has the same laid-back vibe that the rest of Laos does, with a bit more of a big city ambience, and so far I've thought it's pretty good. So join me as we explore the capital city of Laos, Vientiane. The journey began in Vang Vieng with my favourite mango sticky rice at my favourite place for the last time. Just left my hostel in Vang Vieng, and I'm heading to the train station. I have a tuk-tuk to myself, which is very nice, especially when I didn't pay for it. But I'm guessing no one else wants to go at this hour. So I'm catching the train from Vang Vieng to Vientiane. Takes around an hour as well, I think. Like my journey from Luang Prabang to Vang Vieng, I took the train, which took around an hour, and it was a short, easy ride. Look at it all. It's like a giant airport. However, the train station is around half an hour out of the city centre, so when I arrived I did have a bit of a nightmare trying to find a tuk-tuk, and I ended up squished in the very back of a bus with a bunch of other people. So we went other places first, like the completely opposite direction to where I was meant to go, and I'm freaking out, but it's okay. I'm like 700 metres from my hostel, so we're good. Even though we did end up doing a big roundabout loop and it took way longer than it should have, I did end up getting to my accommodation alright. And the first thing I was doing was heading to Starbucks for real coffee, but somehow I ended up not even getting a coffee because it was quite late in the day. I just ended up with a frappuccino instead. They actually had a few books there that I wanted, but I was trying to trade one in that I paid like the equivalent of like $8 New Zealand for, and she was going to give me less than like, she was going to be like $1 for it. I was like, Now though, I am heading to the night market and seeing what that's like, some more food. I then visited the night market where I was looking for some food, but unfortunately there was none. There was like a grand total of 2 stores and it was a bit disappointing. However, I still enjoyed wandering around and the sunset was incredible. Literally had no food. I don't know why. So now I have to go try find some, which is fun. I can't get street food apparently. I ended up getting dinner at a really good place near my hostel. Papaya salad and noodles with tofu and veggies. This was absolutely delicious and I ended up going back later. There wasn't actually anything in particular I really wanted to do in Vientiane. I just had a little Google and then figured that I would walk around a bit. My first stop was Patxuay Victory Monument, where they have a really cool water show. Unfortunately you do have to pay to go up, so I didn't, but it was cool to check out. I then went to a cat cafe and I absolutely loved this, as I've been a little bit unsure about patting a lot of the cats in Laos and Thailand, as I don't know if they're very safe to pat or not. Either you can make a donation to spend some time with the cats or you can get some food, so I got a smoothie bowl which was surprisingly good. And there were around a dozen cats there, some of which were friendlier than others, and they all seemed quite tired, but a lot of them were quite happy to let me pat them, and one even snuggled up next to me for a while. I then wandered around to the Parkson Mall, which seems to be quite a new development.
This is so weird after being in the rest of Laos. There's so much empty space. There's a Starbucks and a Dairy Queen.
I tried a cheese milk bubble tea, which was surprisingly good. I don't know if there was actually much cheese in it or if it's like cream cheese or what the situation is, but it tasted really nice.
It's quite interesting because a lot of it seems really new and like it's not even finished yet, so I don't know if it's like a recent development that they've started putting in here, because you know Laos isn't very touristed and whatnot. But I was surprised because I didn't actually see many internationals, it was mainly locals there, which was kind of interesting. Also, their bubble tea was fantastic. It's the first time I've ever ordered something at like 50% sweet and it actually wasn't sugary. Like it just tasted good, like it wasn't sweet. It was like, I could taste the tea but it wasn't like bitter. It's the first time it's happened. Apparently it's not that hard to do, but no one seems to be able to do it. It's always too sweet.
I then headed to a temple called Wat Si Muang, which is honestly probably the one I've been to that I felt the most reverence in. Obviously I've been to a lot of temples, but this is the one with the nicest atmosphere I've found.
I think this is all the night market stalls just packed away and down here. It's so weird because I always wondered how they set them up so quickly and where they put them and where they got it from, because they do it like every day, but I guess they just put them down here, which is quite cool.
I then stumbled across a random monument. I don't know who the dude is because there was nothing in English there about him, but he seemed pretty cool. He also has a great view. I was then getting a bit hungry, so I ended up at Common Grounds Cafe. Lao doesn't do good coffee, but this is one of the best I had, and I also had a mango chicken pitta, which was pretty solid.
So it's about 5 PM and I'm just walking back to my hostel and I'm gonna have a chill evening and rest. Good morning, it is my second day in Vientiane and I'm on my way to go do some Muay Thai. Let's go.
If you haven't been here before, you may not know that I trained Muay Thai in Chiang Mai, Thailand for a month. So whenever there's a gym round that seems decent, I stop by to keep in touch with it, as I would really like to be training all the time, but obviously travelling, it makes it a little bit more difficult. Whilst it wasn't as good as my favourite place in the world, Lana Muay Thai, it was still a decent session and I enjoyed myself.
I'm literally boarding a plane. Crazy. There's just randomly a plane here. And then there's the gym with the plane. Why? Well, that was a good wee bit of fun. I was in there for about an hour. It wasn't, I have to be honest and say it's not as good as Thailand and Boon Lana, but I don't think nearly any place is better than Boon Lana. So, you know, but it was still fun and it was nice to keep in touch with it. Yeah, now I'm gonna go find some food. I think I'm going for a vegetarian buffet because it sounds...
Obviously after all that, I was pretty hungry, so I went back to the vegetarian restaurant as they have a 70,000 kip lunchtime buffet. Even though I was a bit late to arrive, it was delicious and everything I ate was phenomenal. Honestly, I was really surprised at how good it was. I would definitely recommend going if you're in Vientiane regardless of whether you're vegetarian or not. On my last day before heading to Thailand, I went to Starbucks and got a coffee, frappuccino and a brownie. It's way cheaper in Laos than Thailand, so I figured it would be a good last treat as I am not paying the prices that Starbucks charge in Thailand. I hope you've enjoyed following me through Laos and will check out some of the other videos as well as tagging along for my adventures in Bangkok, Phuket and Malaysia. See you next week and thank you so much for watching. Doodles!